Tonight, Ontario high school teachers announce a one-day strike.
We came to bargain on behalf of teachers. What the Crown brought to the table today was absolutely nothing.
Public secondary school teachers are set to walk out on Wednesday if no deal is reached. Plus,
she was a very good person. She was very friendly with everybody.
I'm very sad. I'm sorry because I know her very well.
family and neighbors are remembering the victim of a hit and run this morning in Etobicoke as police release footage of the suspected vehicle. And there'll be no streetcars on Queen Street until Monday at the earliest, as the TTC continues to inspect the tracks to find out what's damaging them. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. There are just 5 days remaining for the province and the union representing public high school teachers to reach a deal and prevent a teacher walkout. If they can't come to terms, then 60,000 secondary school teachers and support staff will hold a one-day strike next Wednesday. Angelina King has the details.
This is like no bargaining process I've seen in 30 years.
A frustrated union president after nearly 8 months of bargaining and no deal. Harvey Bischoff says the process has been difficult, especially since cuts were made before bargaining even began.
They leveraged students' educational experience at the bargaining table. They unilaterally eroded the quality of education before we even got to the bargaining table.
Now, all public high school teachers and support workers in Ontario will strike for 1 day next week on Wednesday, December 4th. The OSSTF says it comes down to the quality of education. Its main sticking points: cuts to support staff, mandatory e-learning, and class sizes. The province says its goal is keeping kids in the classroom.
We're doing everything we can to strike a deal, and I think we've shown good faith. I have all the confidence in the world in Minister Lecce.
Our government has demonstrated consistently it is reasonable and student-centric by making major moves that have not been matched or reciprocated by the teachers' union.
He points to the province dropping the e-learning requirement from 4 courses to 2 and changing the class size increase from 28 students down to 25 over 4 years. The union says this year class sizes are at 22.5, up from last year's 22. Another issue, wages. The government passed legislation capping all wage increases at 1%. The union wants a cost of living adjustment that keeps pace with inflation. And parents?
And an example of the kind of parent support for teachers.
Many in solidarity with education workers, saying the benefit of standing up to the government outweighs any inconvenience of a one-day strike.
Things like class sizes, limits to class sizes, supports for kids with special needs, stopping mandatory e-learning. Those are key issues for parents also. I think it's natural that parents would support teachers.
I was glad that they were taking job action. I think that the interests of teachers are the same as the interests of parents and students in this situation.
Both sides say they're not walking away from the table, so all of this could be avoided if they're able to reach an agreement before December 4th. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
A 71-year-old man has died after a crash in Mississauga. Police were called to a 2-vehicle collision around Mill Creek Drive and Erin Mills Parkway just before 9:30 tonight. The man had no vital signs on the scene. He was rushed to hospital where he later died. Mill Creek Drive is closed from Surveyor Road and Erin Mills Parkway while police investigate what caused the collision. The driver of the other vehicle remained at the scene. CBC News has learned 2 of the 7 people killed in that small plane crash in Kingston yesterday are residents of Toronto. They're Bobo Murad Nabivev and his wife Sabina, and pilot Otebeko Kulov, his wife, and their 3 children also died. Now, this is the first look we're getting at the wreckage. This picture released by the Transportation Safety Board today. The U.S. registered Piper PA-32 took off from Markham's Buttonville Airport yesterday. Emergency crews were called to the crash site around 5:30 last night. They located the downed plane just north of Kingston's airport and say it was completely destroyed.
So it is in a wooded area. There is a significant amount of trees, underbrush, some swamps in the area. to the best of our knowledge, all of the aircraft was present. The engine was there, all the flight controls were there, the wings, the tail section was all there. So now we had to figure out the rest of it and figure out what to put the aircraft back together like a puzzle.
Investigators say they'll look if the weather played a factor. It was raining and windy last night. They'll also look at the pilot's training and the plane's maintenance records. It was a 6-seater plane, but there were 7 passengers on board, including a 3-year-old child. We have new video and images of a vehicle wanted in a suspected hit and run this morning that killed a 77-year-old woman. Police say a driver was headed north on Islington when the vehicle struck and killed the woman around 6:30. The driver kept going up Islington after the crash. Police released these photos as well. You can see it's a dark SUV with bright headlights and fog lamps. Police believe one of those headlights is now likely broken. They're asking residents and business owners in the area to check the security cameras for any details that might be able to help them find the driver. Now, that woman is the 34th pedestrian to be killed on Toronto roads this year. And tonight, we're learning more about her. Greg Ross spoke with her nephew.
We're suffering, we are very sorry.
Not long after learning his aunt was killed in a hit and run early this morning, Santino Lapadula was feeling a range of emotions, including anger at the driver who didn't stop.
I hate people like that. They didn't even try to help her. People like that, they should be in jail and not to have no license or anything like that.
This surveillance video shows 77-year-old Pasquina Lapadula getting on the elevator in her building just after 6:30 this morning. Neighbors say she was very active.
She walked every morning.
She was careful every day. She was careful.
Yeah, because she walked with us too.
This is Lapadula leaving her building just moments before she was hit by a black SUV while trying to cross Islington Avenue.
I'm very sad. I'm sorry because I know her very well.
In the meantime, many friends and family from this Etobicoke neighborhood were stepping up to talk about the kind of person Lapadula was.
Whenever you see, say hello, hi, how are you?
And now Christmas comes. It's very sad for the family. Very, 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 very sad.
She was a very good person. She was very friendly with everybody. She had a lot of friends.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
It looks like buses will continue to run on Queen Street throughout the weekend. The TTC announcing the 501 streetcar will be out of service until at least Monday. But as Ali Chasson tells us, the TTC is still trying to figure out what caused the damage to its vehicles that put them out of commission in the first place.
I know how busy the 501 can get, so I imagine, people are definitely going to be affected by this.
True. I have a really long commute. I work at Yorkdale, so it already takes me about 56 minutes to get to work. Probably a lot longer knowing that there's no streetcar.
Especially during the peak hours, it's packed. You have to wait for like 3 shuttle buses till you get in.
It sucks.
Okay, things were getting a little hairy along the 501 route today.
You're going to do great on the bus. Yes, you're going to meet so many people. So a bit of a change of plans, huh?
Yeah, now I have to go. I think I'm going to go grab an Uber because I don't see a bus coming anytime soon and I'm late for an appointment, so I got to go.
The 501 Queen is one of the TTC's longest surface routes, 25 kilometers of rail spanning from Etobicoke to the beaches. Mechanics were out inspecting the route today, flagging potential trouble spots, like this one on Queen at Eastern Avenue.
The working theory is it's something in the track bed itself. So it could be the track is misaligned, it could be that there's something in a switch, there could be something in the concrete.
TTC spokesperson Stuart Green says it's the low-hanging supplementary brakes that are getting snagged.
So it's a piece of metal that sort of runs, if you can imagine, between the 2 wheels, and that would come down and contact the track in an emergency braking situation. So that hangs quite low in the wheelbase. The concern was that if a piece of that got knocked off, it could actually cause a derailment.
That's why the entire fleet is back at the shop for inspection. In the meantime, 90 buses will be moving people along Queen Street until Monday.
So the TTC was able to source some parts from Bombardier, and I'm told the 25 streetcars have been repaired, but they are not about to send them back out on the road until they know exactly what is causing the damage. Ali Chasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Nick Cernkovich is here with his first look at the forecast. Sure felt a lot colder today.
Yeah, it definitely did, Mike, and that's one of our headlines. That, among other things, winter weather is on its way, if you want to call it that. Temperatures are falling, cold weather tonight. There is more sunshine in the forecast, though, that's the good news. But a winter storm that we're tracking is headed our way for Sunday. Let's talk about temperatures first, though. Daytime highs today hit 6 degrees, so you're going, well, what do you mean that's cold? Well, that happened overnight last night, and then it fell throughout the night, and today, through the afternoon, at most we hit 1 degree. So definitely on the colder side. Windy as well. Clear skies as we move through tonight. However, we are tracking a system for Sunday. We'll get to that coming up in the long-range forecast. For now, though, -5 degrees tonight, wind chill close to -11. Tomorrow, 0 as a high under mainly sunny skies. More in just a bit.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Goodbye.
Most bidding wars in Toronto involve millions and millions of dollars. But in this case, it's a little different. The city is putting several houses just like this up for auction, and those starting bids are shockingly low. I'm City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly, and I'll have more on that coming up.
Hamilton's mayor and city council issuing an apology to residents today for that massive sewage spill we told you about last week. Mayor Fred Eisenberger and city council issued a formal apology after failing to publicly disclose the magnitude of a spill of untreated sewage. This despite the fact the council knew the sewage was flowing into Chadoka Creek since 2018. Council has also directed city staff to release reports on the leak. A bypass gate at one of the city's combined sewer overflow tank locations had been left partially open, allowing 24 billion liters of waste and stormwater to leak into the creek for almost 4 years. Well, imagine getting a multi-million-dollar Toronto home for less than half its market value. That was the pitch behind a rare city auction of long-abandoned homes. Lauren Pelly has the story.
3 empty homes and 3 unusual opportunities. In Etobicoke, this fixer-upper with a dead raccoon on the front porch was assessed at close to $460,000, but the starting bid was just $92,000. Over in trendy Bloor, Ossington, this 2-story semi is valued at $775,000, but eager buyers could make offers starting at under $100,000. And then there's this dilapidated semi north of High Park. Its assessment value is almost $1 million, but the starting bid just $119,000. You can't actually go inside any of these properties to see what they look like, but just looking at the outside, you can see this one around High Park is probably a teardown. That didn't stop investors from coming out in droves to check it out. We spotted at least half a dozen hopeful buyers snapping photos and peering inside, trying their best to see if it's worth the cash.
It's a great area.
I think it'd be definitely a great investment property.
I think with another 400,000, this can come to a good value and there's profit to be made. But then again, we don't know what the other bids are.
And that's not the only surprise bidders braced for.
They're not in good shape. These are properties probably that have animals living inside them, and so the owners, these properties are abandoned essentially.
Given the hassle, we asked this realtor why anyone would buy them.
It's just about math. If I calculate my renovation costs properly with a good renovator, then I can potentially have upside on the buy.
Good news for buyers' bank accounts, but he questions if it's smart for city coffers.
If you and I wouldn't list our grandmother's house if we were selling it in this manner, even if it was in deteriorated condition, then why would we do it with our publicly owned assets? It doesn't make sense, I think.
Yeah, that was our Lauren Pelly reporting. So just how much money did those properties go for? Well, in the end, all of them sold for about their assessed values. Take a look. We'll start with that downtown property at Bloor and Ossington. The minimum bid was about $97,000. The highest, $729,000. That High Park property at 58 Law Street had a minimum bid of about $119,000. The highest at over $900,000. And in North Etobicoke, the house with the raccoon at 56 Netherley Drive, the minimum bid was about $92,000, with it topping out at $550,000.
Canopy Growth is showcasing some of their new products that you could soon start seeing at dispensaries. We're talking beverages, edibles, and vapes. I'm Talia Ricci, and coming up, we'll show you some of these products, but we also speak with a health expert who's concerned about putting more vapes on the shelves.
I'm not really very enthusiastic about vaping THC products being sold commercially.
The weather update is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
We are just weeks away from what cannabis companies are calling legalization 2.0. Edibles, beverages, and vaporizers will soon be in pot shops. Today, Canopy Growth showcased some of their new products. As Talia Ricci tells us, some health experts are concerned about more ways to vape being introduced to the market.
Cannabis-infused sparkling water, dark chocolate, and some slick-looking vapes.
The new wave of THC-infused products is getting closer to sale time.
It heats it up on the app. You're able to control the temperature settings.
And the president of Canopy Growth thinks these vapes will be big sellers.
I think vapes is a large opportunity, largely because Canadians have come to expect it in the black market. And part of legalization was the idea of we want to get the industry out of the hands of the black market, put into a legal regulated area so that it can be properly controlled and regulated.
Health Canada rules state that inhaled cannabis extracts, also known as vaporizers, can't have any added sugars, sweeteners, or colors. They also have to include a health message warning, and they can't be appealing to youth.
I'm not really very enthusiastic about vaping THC products being sold commercially.
But this professor who studied the effects of e-cigarettes is concerned that there will soon be another way to vape. According to the government, as of last week, there are 11 confirmed or probable cases of severe lung illness related to vaping in Canada.
We know from the research on vaping of e-cigarettes with nicotine that they are likely in the long term to cause respiratory disease. We know very little about cannabis vaping, and if the system is similar to that of e-cigarettes, so that if it's a liquid that's being heated and turning into an aerosol that gets ingested into the respiratory system, I suspect that we will encounter similar challenges.
Kovacevic agrees Canadians should be informed before they start using these products. He says his company tried to go above and beyond the regulations.
Also importantly is it has a PIN. So someone like me who has children, I'm able to put a password on my vape, and that way there's no concern that my kids would ever access it.
While many of these companies are ready to go with their new products, we are still in that 60-day waiting period from when edibles and vapes were legalized back in October. The Ontario Cannabis Store says we likely won't start seeing these products on the shelves until January. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Nick Sarkovich is back with his extended forecast. It's feeling more like winterish weather, and it's going to look like winter weather on Sunday.
Yeah, it definitely will, Mike. But a lot of this, the precipitation type for Sunday is really up in the air. And I'm going to show you this in just a second here. Let's get right into the snowfall and the storm system forecast. We'll start with tonight. So clear skies, or mainly clear skies tonight, into tomorrow. A little bit of cloud cover for the morning, and then generally clear skies for tomorrow afternoon. Starts out sunny on Saturday, but we're watching a system that's moving in from the west, and that will develop tomorrow night. So here's what we're looking at. This takes us through Friday afternoon, evening. Low pressure system develops back over Colorado again. It quickly moves its way eastward, and by Sunday morning, Saturday overnight, Sunday morning, we're expecting to see this in the GTA and all of southern Ontario. Mainly a rainfall event down around the Windsor area, lots of mixed precipitation in the middle, and then around the Golden Horseshoe, it's really up for debate here. This model showing snowfall, but remember that this line could actually shift over the next couple of days. We're talking about the difference here of, say, downtown Toronto seeing snow and Oakville seeing freezing rain. I mean, that's how tight this precipitation line is going to be. This is our best look at what we can expect coming up over Sunday afternoon. Now, for the City of Toronto, probably 5 to 10 centimeters of wet, heavy snow, more in the way of extensive mixed precipitation in the middle and rainfall down towards southwestern Ontario. But again, a word of caution with this. This line can shift, so exact figures are still up for debate, at least for the next 24 hours or so, as we get new model runs, new forecasts coming out. For now, though, tonight, temperatures down around -1, -3 in southwestern Ontario. A few flurries, generally cloudy, though. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy skies. Highs to about 2 degrees in southwestern Ontario. For the Golden Horseshoe, more or less the same, although more in the way of clear skies tonight, so temperatures will drop a little bit more, -5 degrees, wind chills near -11. Tomorrow highs to about 0 degrees across the GTA. Long-range forecast then, -1 heading into Saturday. Sunday, though, really the one to watch, and we're going to keep an eye on this. This will be a messy winter mix, a very windy one as well. Monday, a few lingering flurries. Tuesday, just above the freezing mark.
But as you said, Nick, we'll check in with you tomorrow night to get a better indication of how that storm is shaping
100%.
up.
This is definitely, it could change over the next 24 or 48 hours.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
You bet.
I got my own set of scars to hide.
That is, of course, Canadian music icon Celine Dion performing at the 93rd annual Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York today. Thankfully, those high winds that everyone was worried about didn't keep the popular giant balloons grounded. And of course, it all ended with Santa at the end of the parade there. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Before we go, a European company that makes cleaning products is teaming up with a brewery to make a beer-based dish soap. And to top it off, the world's largest brewer says the sudsy soap will actually help reduce industrial waste. In their own words, here's how they make what they're calling too good to waste detergent.
In the beginning, when we were producing non-alcoholic beer, we had very little quantities of rest alcohol. So there was no real partner to find. But as those amounts were growing, the brewery was asking us, okay, what can we do with the alcohol? Because it's piling up, it's a lot of quantity. And so that's why we were looking for partners. So we have been co-developing with Ecovir to make sure that the alcohol that we were producing as a byproduct was meeting their expectations as an incoming product for their development.
When they extract the alcohol, we noticed that it needs to undergo a cleaning step, but then it's put into trucks, transported here to Ecovir, and we put it in our product as an ingredient, as an active ingredient. There's still a little bit of the beer smell that was in the alcohol. So the fragrance we used to mask the beer smell also comes from agricultural waste streams.
As we have our 2025 sustainability goals as well, we definitely focus on circular economy, and we want to upcycle all our co-products.
Can you buy a 2-4 dish soap now? It's going to make it harder to discipline anyone for swearing. You can't threaten to wash their mouths out with soap because they'll just request the soap made from beer. What's more on cue, Tom Powers welcomes Booker T. Jones, a legendary musician. We'll talk about his new memoir, which explores his music and his long connection to civil rights. You can hear that tomorrow at 10 a.m. on CBC Radio 1. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night.